Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to St Patrick's Day 2014 in the Grand Union on Chancery Lane. Give yourselves a round of applause. And even I am joining in with your round of applause because it was so enthusiastic. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you've had a lovely year so far. There's only been about 2.5 months of it, but that's enough for a lot of people to have really got into the swing of 2014. We've been doing this trial for much longer than 2.5 months. Some of you have been before. This woman here, you were put on trial last week, weren't you?
I was.
Yes. That lady there, you've been before. Anyone else been before? This man's been before because he invented it. Have you been before? When have you been before?
Twice.
When?
End of last year.
End of last year. Okay.
This is hardcore.
Okay, that's good. So you basically, who has never been before? 3 people. Well, what happens is we have 3 of the finest comedians that have ever been doing comedy. They've done it on television, they've done it on radio, on 3 or 4 different continents. They're now based on this island, and we get them here to impersonate judges and lawyers, which weirdly is illegal if it's not for the purpose of entertainment. So they come here, one of them puts a wig on there, Tim Fitzhigham. He's like a judge in real life anyway. Not that he's a judgmental person, in that he's very wise and a little bit scatty. And then there's some other people who, if they weren't comedians, would probably be lawyers or other people with a very high income because they're very smart, and they take it in turns to prosecute. Who? Who do they prosecute? Well, I don't see any people in the dock. I wonder. Well, we've made a mistake. We've forgotten the fucking criminals. Or have we? No, we haven't. Because normally we have an audience. Tonight, we've just got you lot. But that doesn't put us off, does it? No, it doesn't. You lot, you're bound to have done something naughty in your pasts. Or even in the future, we're allowed to prosecute crimes that we believe you may commit in the future. What's your name, gentleman in the leather jacket who looks a little bit like a sexy James Dean wannabe? What's your name?
Saunders.
Saunders. Just a surname for a first name? Saunders. Do you have a second name?
Yeah.
What is it?
Zeus.
Saunders Zeus. Are you from a comic book?
Better. Yeah.
You've heard better what?
Pronunciation.
You've heard better pronunciation of my name, of your name. So you pronounce your name so that I will know better how to pronunciate it.
Okay. The real name is Solus.
Solus.
Yeah.
Solus, yeah.
Solus. And the second name is Zeus.
Zoos.
Zeus. Not Zeus. Zeus.
Zoos. Like the plural of zoo. Okay, like I like wild animals so much. I've been to loads of zoos. Yeah? Yeah. How is it spelt?
Z-U-J-U-S.
Z-U-J-U-S. Zoos. Yeah, I get it. It's a silent J. And your first name is Solus. Yeah, what did I say it was? Saunders. Saunders. It's because I'm quite stupid. No, it's not. It's because I'm deaf, because I've got a cold. And when I blow my nose, I back up a lot of phlegm into my anal canal. Not my anal canal. I like that saying. Oh, Christ. You have ear canals. Ear canal, that's what I meant. There is something else in my anal canal, and let me tell you, it's not phlegm. It is a clove of garlic, which my cleaner Billy tells me is the best remedy for a cold. She didn't put it there. I was allowed to go into the bathroom and do it myself, but it was her idea. That's probably why I was thinking of anal canal. I was thinking of the garlic that is now lodged up it like a barge in a... Anyway. Order. Thank you. Solus Zeus. Solus Zeus, where are you from?
Lithuania.
Lithuania. Wicked country, isn't it? Not really. That's why you're here. Yeah. Who are you with?
My friend Claire.
Claire. And Claire, are you a political candidate?
No.
No. So why have you got a rosette on your jacket?
Because I am a show jumping horse.
Oh, you're well, already, I think we've got 2 candidates for prosecution. One man for deliberately wearing a leather jacket and trying to look like Jimmy Dean, and another woman for claiming to be a horse. A show jumping horse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that man Sachs, I think, wrote a book about you. What's his name? Oliver Sacks, the woman who thought she was a show jumping horse and turned up to poorly attended comedy events with a rosette on her shank. Okay, all right, we'll come to you later. And what's your name?
Me.
Me? So me. Hold on.
I'm Sophia.
Sophia. And Sophia, which country are you from?
I'm from England.
You're just from England?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. Cool. And have you ever done anything wrong?
Never.
You've never done anything wrong?
Never,
Okay, so
no.
you've just done something wrong. You've just told a lie in front of an innocent man from Lithuania and his girlfriend, a horse. Okay, telling a lie in front of a man and his girlfriend who's a girl is bad, but when it's a girl who's a horse, telling lies in front of innocent animals is even worse, especially when his name is Zeus. Right. What is your name?
Carl.
Carl, and who is the lady with you?
Kate.
Kate. How long have you known Carl?
Too long.
Too long. Okay. All right. I think there's probably a divorce case there. The people that will be putting you on trial are Mark Dolan and Yianni, and here are they now. Look at them. And do some clapping. Yianni, please say some words to the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Yianni. I actually did used to be a lawyer before I did this, so basically doing this gig to me is sort of in one way coming full circle and in another way sort of a form of failure. I'm probably best known for the case that I brought against the law of gravity, which I lost. I was trying to get it so that we could all fly, but unfortunately got some high-priced lawyers, blew me out of the water, and here we are on the floor like a bunch of suckers. Thank you.
And pitting his wits against Yianni's legal knowledge, Mark Dolan.
Hello, good evening, jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's a privilege to be here to be prosecuting these incredibly important cases that have global implications. Can I apologise if I seem a little jaded? I'm quite a hard-working lawyer at the moment. I've also got a few other trials on the go, including defending Oscar Pistorius, which is a challenge. And I have to say that it's all about getting the bad guy and making sure that justice is brought to fruition. I look at the cases that got away. I kind of think what a joy it would have been to have caught Jimmy Savile in his prime, in his disgraceful behaviour. And if only he had experienced justice. Don't you agree with that, ladies and gentlemen? Don't you think that he ought to have had justice? It's a sensitive point for me. It's a kind of passion project because as a young man, as a teenager, I actually met Jimmy Savile, okay? And I'm relieved to say nothing happened, okay? Relieved, and if I'm honest, a little offended. Right? A little bit of a slap in the face. Not exactly a vote of confidence in my looks, I think you'll agree. But I got no reaction, not even a rattle of his jewellery, and I was in that caravan for months. Anyway, the thing is, it's why we're here to pursue justice, and there are some outrageous accusations floating around in this room about you guys, and it's going to be a bit of a bipolar thing because at times I'll be prosecuting, at times I'll be defending, but I will always follow the natural path of justice. Thank you.
And now please all rise for your judge, Right Honourable, the very, very nice man, Judge Fitzhigham.
Thank you, Mr. Locke. Please do sit down, everyone. Kind of you. One of the least expected outcomes of the Legal Services Act, designed to make justice more accessible, was that we would open a courtroom in a pub in Chancery Lane. But yet still, here we are with a jury of quite literally not even 12 this evening. So that's very exciting for all of us. We've heard a brief outline of our two barristers. Well done, the clerk, I have to say. It's gorgeous to be here. I obviously take judging very seriously, always have. Lord Denning, the great judge Lord Denning, said, if you are an advocate, you want your client to win. If you're a judge, you don't care who wins. All you're concerned about is justice. Well, I go even further than that. I don't give a stuff about justice. So let's take it on that basis, ladies and gentlemen. We've flipped a coin, haven't we, I think, before the match. Did I say match? I mean the cases, what's it called? The court? The assizes. The proceedings. The proceedings. Who was prosecuting first?
I believe that's me, Your Honour.
Yianni, wonderful. You're prosecuting first. Please do. Of course. Let's stand on ceremony here. Let's pop the wig on.
Thank you.
And Yianni, you're the first person that you're going to. I mean, unbelievable situation with law at the moment, isn't it? Greylings lurking under every rock, trying to steal barristers' money. In fact, barristers might be working for less than you at the moment.
Well, I find that impossible on both a logical and a literal level. Since I am a barrister, even if I am a pretend one, one cannot work for less than nothing. Now, so ladies and gentlemen, my first case, I need to choose someone to prosecute, and I do feel like a child in a very poorly stocked candy store. Who to choose? Who to choose? You're Carl, aren't you? I triangulated your location from back there using only my ears like a bat. Uses sonar. I guess bats don't really have ears. They do actually. They do. That is true. That is that was proved in the case of bat versus man, 2001 in the Privy Council. But tonight I have to choose who to bring my first case against. I've heard the outrageous claims of Dr. Zayas over there. Was it Zayas? Now I mean, it's possible there's a case there. He has both a Z and a J in his name. That is quite greedy in a game of Scrabble. That's two 10-point tiles right there. I mean, if you play house rules and you're allowed to put your name, you're not really leaving much except the Q, which, I don't know. I mean, but also, and sorry, what country did you say you were from?
Is it something to do with immigration?
Well, Your Honour, does this court have jurisdiction over immigration?
Of course.
Of course it does.
Unless, of course, it is a real matter of immigration, and then I will have to throw it out.
You'll have to throw the case or him?
Bit of both.
Now, I can tell by the nervous sort of rubbing of your hands on your face that there is a genuine concern there, and I have to tell you, Zugis, that sorry, I've anglicised your name. I hope you don't mind. I've got to tell you that it's
going to make him much more difficult to find.
Definitely.
You anglicise his name.
That is true. Yes. So we'll stick with Zeus. But as a Greek, I like Zeus, and I would probably like. But I'm getting off the point. I would suggest that it is very, very unlikely that you will find yourself back in Lithuania with the unfortunate story that you were thrown out after attending a comedy event.
Order. This is a court, not a comedy event.
That is true.
No comedy in this courtroom.
That is true, Your Honour.
Hasn't happened yet.
All of that laughter. He's always had it in for me. Right? He's always had it in for me. All right, but so Lithuania, you say? I don't think I've ever heard of that country, and I've never heard of your name. I think I'm going to bring, Your Honour, if it's okay with the court, I would like to bring a case against this gentleman here on the charge that everything he says is a lie.
everything he says is a lie.
Yes.
So it's.
Or should we narrow? Should we narrow
It's
it?
going to be something like, Trevor, do you want to assist me with formulating this? It's something like
Well,
all his words
unfortunately,
with manners of forethought,
yes,
willfully untruthful behaviour, willfully untruthful, speaking willfully untruthful untruths in a built-up area. That strikes me as the most applicable charge. Do you think that?
Your Honour, I like the built-up area bit.
Speaking,
Everything he says is a lie bit is going to get us into an awful lot of hot water and Xeno-like paradoxes
yeah,
when we come to swearing.
speaking willful untruths in a built-up area.
Yeah.
Are you happy to prosecute that?
Yes, Your Honour.
Does it fulfil the criteria you're after?
What having someone to prosecute? Yes, it definitely does.
Good. Then let's get the nice man, Mr. Zoos, on stage. Was it Zoos' first name?
Solus. His first name is Solus.
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 Of course. There's only one of him. That is a very clever joke. A little bit of judicial humour there. Do take the stand, please, Mr. Zoos. Trevor, swear him in.
Excuse me, can I have a translator?
We'll do our best.
Oh, now this now Your Honour, I've seen this ruse before.
Hang on a mo, you speak Greek.
I do speak Greek.
Well, that's fair enough. Lithuania and Greek do share some things in common.
I must tell you, even as the prosecutor, I see this as a great conflict of interest.
So, what I'm saying to you is that you can be the translator into Greek
Yes.
while prosecuting him.
Okay.
I see no conflict of interest there.
But Your Honour, although I agree with you that there is no conflict of interest there, I feel if you, as you previously stated, wish to keep this court
hang on.
bereft of comedy,
I'm
that
sorry,
is a bad
what-
idea.
One moment. What he's asking, I think, is if I can translate your Australian accent into English.
Yes.
That's probably what he's after.
Is that what you're asking?
I do understand Australian accent, I don't understand British accent.
Well, I'll
Oh,
tell
you
you what.
want me to be translated? Could be anything.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. I'll translate every fucking thing we say in here into an Australian accent so that you can understand it.
Sorry, mate. It's Paddy's Day. You're supposed to have an Irish accent.
He's brought up a very good point. It's a very good point. I should have said this earlier. It being the 17th of March, there are certain laws that only apply on St Patrick's Day.
That is
So
true.
let's be very aware of those as well.
Oh, I'm starting to feel like I've maybe a bit off more than I could chew, Your Honour. I should have just prosecuted the horse. I'll bring the charge. Your
Fair
Honour.
enough, Trevor. Swear him in.
Mr. Zeus, please put your hand on St. Patrick's holy blood. Do you, Solus Zeus, swear to tell the truth and all of the truth and nothing but of it?
No.
Thank you.
Nah, hang on, you said no.
No, you shouldn't say no, you should say
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Hang on, yeah.
I swear to tell the whole
I
truth.
swear to tell truth.
The truth, thank you.
Good man.
Sit down.
How do you plead to the charge? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. That makes it a lot better for you.
Yes. Otherwise, I'd be finished.
Although worse for you.
Yes.
Correct.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as a jury, we all know the charge. We've heard it mulled over in great depth whilst we worked it out. But we're through that now. And now we come to the crux of the matter, which is Mr. Zeus's constant and willful untruthfulness. Now, could I just ask you if you could cast your mind back a full minute to recount what it was that you said to Mr. Locke, the court clerk, when he asked you if you swore to tell the whole truth. What did you say? The first thing. What was the first thing that you said?
4 minutes ago.
No, 4 minutes ago, you were there. If we're going to be picky, can I object against myself, Your Honour?
Sustained?
believe the witness is trying to run me a merry dance by bringing up irrelevancies. This doesn't really matter. I was asking you a specific question. It doesn't matter when it was. It was a dramatic flourish. You know, the sort of thing that one might do if one was less concerned with legal accuracy and in some sort of performing sort of situation where one was being paid or not to entertain people. So I guess my point was it's not really what I was asking. The important thing was when Mr. Locke asked you if you were sworn to tell the truth or nothing but the truth, what did you say? What was the first answer you gave?
I said no.
You said no. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I put it to you that Mr. Zeus, as he is an inveterate liar, did not mean no, he meant yes. And that was proven a mere 30 seconds or another measure of time afterwards when he was asked the exact same question again and gave the opposite response. The clear actions, I would say, of a liar. Now, can I ask you a quick question about the lady that you are attending with? What is her name?
Claire.
Claire. Now, where did you meet Claire?
That's going to sound different. We used to live together as a flatmate.
You used to live together as a flatmate. Now, I know this is not the case being brought, but as we know, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Claire is a horse.
Objection, Your Honour. That's a matter of opinion. And I would like to say, I mean, clearly I'm a little biased because I intend to defend this gentleman against this heinous accusation. I would contend that the witness's partner is of considerable physical attractive qualities. And I'd like to strike it out as evidence anyway because I see it's far from relevant in this case.
No, I completely disagree. If you'll let me finish, I will show the relevance. Your Honour.
There are many attractive horses.
What of Black
The
Beauty, Mr.
attractiveness
Dolan?
of the horse, I mean,
Your Honour, Your Honour.
overall, sustain, carry on.
Thank you very much. My point, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and Mr. Zez, is only to say that it is against most residential laws to live with a horse. Now, if we were to accept Mr. Zez at his word that he and Miss Claire lived together, then one would have to accept logically that she is not a horse. Now, given that we've already... No, sorry, I screwed that up.
You're leading into a bit of a Newton inquiry area here. Essentially, I mean, we need to establish where they lived, whether there was a covenant on the building that specifically prohibited horses cohabiting with Lithuanians, and in which case then, yes, your point would be correct that it was obviously against the law for her to live with him as a horse, or a thoroughbred or a quadruped living with a man in harmony.
I do agree.
For example, in Bristol, it's entirely acceptable to live with a horse. Except if you share the bed with the horse and then you've broken a bylaw.
That is true, Your Honour. And I believe there is law to lead to support my argument. I didn't bring it with me because I did not anticipate the equine line of arguments.
Yeah, I don't think any of us saw it coming.
No, I don't think any of us saw it coming too.
It's a good job I read up on the bylaws of Bristol, isn't it?
It is, Your Honour. It is, Your Honour. Okay. I'll go on a different tack, and then I shall finish.
Tack, horse, very good. That's all you did there. Well done.
Thank you very
He's
much.
all over it, isn't he?
Yeah. Now this my final question. Now this Lithuania. I've never heard of it. I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. There are many Aeneas. There's the Albania, Croatia, and we all hope for the best for the people there at the moment. There was Bananaramia, who had a great hit single in the 80s. Now, but this Lithuania, I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, is not to be found in any atlas, and is yet another example of this man's inability to tell the truth. And if that leaves a gaping hole in my argument to be massively exploited by my learned friend, then I'd like to see him try.
Thank you, Yianni. Mr. Dolan.
Thank you so much, Your Honour. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
Yeah.
and Mr. Seuss, first of all, what we're discussing here is a very serious accusation, which is that of dishonesty. And if there is dishonesty in the room, it is of a prosecuting counsel
Oh.
who has quite a big mortgage to pay. And if I'm honest with you, he knows full well that this man is innocent of the crime that's laid at his door. But this the prosecuting counsel has had several expensive divorces, has a penchant for...
Objection, Your Honour. My divorces are of no more relevance to this trial than my marriages.
Yeah. Sustain, Mr. Dolan. Mr. Egisalu's general marital disasters need to stay well outside the realms of this court.
Now, Mr. Zeus's phone has just started ringing. I think it may be relevant to this case to work out who it is that was calling. Do you care to tell us who it was that was calling?
Hey.
This is probably the best heckle I've ever had. So first of all, if there's any crime here,
Just objects by
I just
saying
wish to
nay.
discredit-
Is that what just happened? Okay. As if this case couldn't get any more complicated. Now you're being heckled from the jury by a horse.
with animal noises. So, if there's any dishonesty in this room, it's actually, I'm afraid, within the jury, and it is the partner of the accused, who is really the person that's guilty of dishonesty, because it's impossible that she is a horse. Okay, if she was a horse, something would have been deposited on the ground by now. Okay, if she was a horse, there would be perhaps a rosy-cheeked young wench who would be grooming her and plaiting her hair. Right? None of the, she'd have been followed around the place by like a meat buyer from Tesco. There would be some evidence that she's an actual horse. I contend that she's not a horse, she's an actual human being that you are in a relationship with, sir. Would you say that is the case? Would you confirm that you're in a relationship with this lady that claims to be a horse? Time to call the translator, I think.
Please call the
Let's keep
translator
it
now.
simple. First of all, I would like to contend that the only crime you're guilty of is being a rather handsome young man in his 30s from Lithuania. Are these facts true? Yeah? Yes, they are. You see that? He thought it through.
Objection, Your Honour. If I believe if Mr. Dolan's objection to me that whether Mr. Zeus's partner was a horse is a matter of opinion, then so indeed is whether Mr. Zeus is a handsome man.
Well, we shall have to place that in our next case. But I'd like to establish a couple of facts about you for the jury to hear. First of all, please could you tell us how long you've lived in the United Kingdom? That got a laugh, so I'm guessing it's a matter of minutes. What's your occupation, Mr. Zeus? May I call you Solus?
Yeah.
Solus, what do you do for a living, sir? It's difficult, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm here to help Mr. Zeus, and therefore I think you'll find the speediest way for us to release you from the appalling questions that are being handed in your direction is for you to answer my questions very fully and very significantly. What do you do?
I'm a shop fitter.
You're a shop fitter, a very noble profession. And which shop do you fit at the moment?
Do the art gallery.
You do an art gallery. He's a shop fitter in an art gallery. That's a very great skill that you have. Of course, you'll be wondering whether that's a lie, because that's what's being suggested, that that's just bollocks. But first of all, would any man who wants to be taken seriously as a heterosexual man about town claim to be a shop fitter? No. If you were going to lie, you wouldn't say shop fitter. You'd probably say roofer or builder or something like that. So, can you give us an example of a tool that you use as a shop fitter?
Skill saw, hammer.
What kind of saw?
Skill saw.
A skill saw. You might have made that up. Okay. I feel our case. very difficult when the person you're trying to defend starts inventing tools. Has anybody
Sorry,
here
Mr.
heard?
Dolan, I have to remind you that you're defending this man against telling lies by essentially flagging up to the court that he may have made up a type of sword.
Well, that's right. But
Which-
you see, what he does is he does these little charming mini lies, but nothing heavy, no heavy shit.
So you're
Do
defending
you know what I
him
mean?
against telling untruths by saying he does charming mini lies.
That's right. He does kind of these kooky, cute little lies, which are entirely adorable. You know, such as, oh yes, there are still hobnobs in the cupboard, and then you find out there are no hobnobs, that he's polished them off, and it's adorable. And I would imagine that if I was lucky enough to go have it with you, when that happened, I'd give you a hug and I'd squeeze your cheeks like that and go, oh Zeus, or whatever your name is, you're such a rascal. So, therefore, but my point is, this is all about the bigger picture. Are you really going to send this man down for this alleged crime of dishonesty? Yes, he steals biscuits. Yes, he invents the names of various objects. Fundamentally, we have a man of honour, of nobility. This case is closed. I rest my case. I think I've established, in no uncertain terms, what an honourable and, most importantly, honest gentleman he is. And I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Dolan. Wow. That. Nobody saw that coming. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have heard the evidence put before you. The charge, I must remind you, is that Mr. Solus Zeus is charged with speaking willful untruths in a built-up area. He did, I must remind you, lie when asked to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, which some would say is indicative of the general state of the man. He entirely, Mr. Yianni put forward a, I think, very complicated case that Mr. Zeus may or may not live with a horse in a residential area and may or may not be lying about a place called Lithuania existing.
Doesn't exist.
I'd say that there are maps that one could have in some way put forward, Mr. Dolan, to
That's a good point.
to prove the truthfulness or not of Lithuania. We've then heard the defence from Mr. Dolan, which I have to say was
Rock solid.
beautifully put. Beautifully put, Mr. Dolan, that essentially Mr. Zeus is an attractive man in his mid-30s and that he may tell adorable, charming mini lies, but that telling willful untruths is a different, seemingly a different thing only to be undertaken by less attractive people, if I understand the case. Because that's...
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have to ask you, now we've dwindled to a mere 6 of you, do you believe, if you believe that Mr. Solus Zeus is guilty of telling willful untruths in a built-up area, please cheer now.
Yes!
No? If you believe he's not guilty of speaking willful untruths in a built-up area, please cheer now.
Yay!
Some of the same people. And so it is that I pronounce you not guilty, Mr. Zeus. Please retake your seats. A free man is dismissed. Charming man. Your next charge and general.
Thank you very much, Your Honour. Once again, as we're having a busy day, I'd like to crack on because justice waits for no man or woman. I'd like to talk to a few of you others. Congratulations on a very excellent testimony there, young man. I thought you came across incredibly well and delighted to be victorious. And I'm confident I'm on a winning run with our next accused. And I'm afraid it's you, madam. But we need to talk about you a little bit. Now, first of all, can I ask you if you are in a relationship with this gentleman?
Wait. Excuse me, why you didn't ask me?
What if you're in a relationship with him?
To be honest with you, I know this guy, and at some point or another, everyone's been in a relationship with him. It's just-
Order!
It's one of those people.
Order! That's not established, that's not fact.
That's right. But just go on Facebook and I think you'll find it's all there.
Order!
In pictures, graphic. Now, first of all,
Make friends with me.
so Sophia, are you courting this gentleman at the moment?
We've
Couple of dates. That's very good. Were you friends before that?
No.
No, that's right. And was there an internet element to this whole thing?
No.
No. Okay. So that's fine. So you met in real time.
On the train.
Oh, you met on the train.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what kind of train was it? An underground train, a tube train? What was the thing?
It was the overland train to East Dulwich.
All right.
It's less sinister than the tube.
It is really.
I always think pulling women on a tube is a bit sinister. You know?
It is really.
Overground, they seem like the air's there. You can, maybe escape if necessary.
Right.
And I had a drink.
And you had a drink. Well, that's very, very nice. So that's it. So you've been out on a couple of dates. Who was the proactive? Who was a proactive party? Could it have been? I think it had to have been him because you strike me as quite an old-fashioned lady, and you would expect the gentleman to do some of the running. You're not just going to throw yourself on at someone, or at least you don't anymore, not since university. And I think that is fantastic. So there you go. Well, that's very nice. And may I ask you, Sophia, what you do?
I'm a conservation officer.
You're a conservation officer, which is a highly noble profession. I think, in fact, although I don't normally expect the jury to really make much noise at an event like this, but I think that is worth a round of applause. If you look at the state of the climate at the moment, how we're destroying our world, it's a round of applause for a conservation officer. And can I ask you where you live?
I live in Brixton.
Okay, and that's very good. And what kind of property do you live in? You have a Victorian conversion?
Edwardian.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that takes me to the crux of it, Your Honour. Thank you for your patience. I accept it's taken a while to get there.
Yep.
But I have, I have the crime of which young Sophia, the charming young Sophia, is guilty, and don't be fooled by her charm, because I am going to lay at her table that she is reassuringly middle class. That is my contention. I'm confident that I can prove to the jury that this girl is achingly bohemian and essentially borderline aristocracy. So that's our contention, is to establish the place where this lady exists within the class pyramid, and I would say it's bang central between, blue-blooded toff and Stanley knife packing chav. She's right in the middle. So I would say this lady is reassuringly middle class, and that's my contention, Your Honour.
With malice of forethought, this lady is reassuringly middle class, borderline aristocracy.
Yes, correct. I'd say she's just the right side of middle class, yes.
Just the right side of it. Are we happy with that, Trevor?
Yes.
Yep. Then let's get her up on the stand and let's...
Thank you. Thank you for your
Sophia,
contribution.
is it Sophia or Sophia?
It's Sophia.
That's
Sophia.
the first middle class answer, Sophia. Did you hear that? And the dismiss it in spite of the fact that she's being addressed by the judge himself. She's like, there was almost a tut. It was like, Sophia, I think you're fine.
Sophia, your surname?
Bix, B-I-X.
B-I-X.
B.
B.
B-I-X. Bix.
Bix, as in the plural of razor.
Correct.
Pen. Do I sit down here on
And I would...
Yes,
Please do. Please take a seat. Oh, yes, we'll swear you in.
Oh, wait, have we got a cult artist yet? Trevor, let's get some... This is an attractive woman. Get someone to draw her. I mean, sorry, if the media want to report this, we need to have a, a picture or something. So let's get
records,
someone for the records.
For your special file?
Get the laminator.
For the record, the court would like to apologise
That was-
for the judge remark there from the 1970s.
Sustained. I object to myself. Carry on, Trevor. Find me an artist.
So,
Please do sit down, Sophia.
Thank you.
Sophia, I promise to be gentle with you, Sophia.
Trevor, do swear her in.
Sophia,
Bearing in mind it's the 17th of March, are we going to swear her in with something Irish or...
Yes. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
Hang on a minute, you're swearing in on Zorba the Greek.
Zorba the Greek, which in my...
One of the great pieces of Irish literature.
Yes, and in many ways a Bible. Thank you. Zorba is a modern day Christ figure, we know.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Top of the morning to you.
top of the morning to you.
I'll kiss you under the Blarney Stone.
What now?
No.
Trevor, this is not a dating service. Only you could set up a
After
call
me.
service.
Sorry.
I'll kiss you under the Blarney Stone later.
I'll kiss you under the Blarney Stone later.
Is there any whiskey in the jar?
Is there any whiskey in the jar?
Yes, there's whiskey in the jar.
Yes, there's whiskey in the jar.
I'm telling all the truth.
I'm telling all the truth.
So I am.
So I am.
Is that a leprechaun I see before me?
Is that a leprechaun I see before me?
No, it's a twat in a green hat.
No, it's twice in the green hat.
Thank you.
So, Sophia, where do we start? I think it's very difficult. How do you ascertain someone's place within the class structure of this society, such an embedded aspect of England, really? The class system is one of the first things foreigners think about when they think of this country, and we know your place in it, which is bang in the middle or just north of the middle class area. Now, you live in Brixton in an Edwardian conversion. Is it a whole house, or is it an apartment in a house? What's the actual?
It's an apartment in a house.
Owned by Daddy?
No, no.
Hold that thought, ladies and gentlemen. Think of the defensive answer, the nervous look in her eyes when she nearly went, "Of course, yes," but then had to admit that she's on trial for an outrageous crime of being middle class. If you had to choose between two supermarkets, would you take Morrison's or Waitrose?
I shop locally.
That'll be Marks and Spencer's then. And tell me this, what way did you vote at the last election?
Objection, Your Honour. That is,
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
Yianni. I'm with you. I'm going to absolutely sustain it. We
I agree.
Within
That
a
is
court, we are not allowed to ask which way they vote. As a
Because
judge,
it's a secret ballot.
no, not because
No.
it doesn't. It's no indication. It's irrelevant.
well, also as a judge, I'm not allowed to hear it. So
That too.
on that basis, Yianni, the more important basis, I'm not allowed to know that.
It just suggests to me that if young Sophia were to have voted Conservative, it would suggest to me that she's aspirational and also a bit of a twat, but aspirational and is aiming for more than her lot, which is a very bohemian middle class quality. Do you attend any rock festivals?
No.
Have you ever been to a rock
Yes.
festival?
Yes.
Which one was it?
Glastonbury.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
That's pretty compelling.
Did you have a Cath Kidston tent by any chance?
Absolutely not.
What brand of tent did you have?
Whichever one was cheapest at millets.
Now, don't be fooled by this, because you get these aristocratic people who kind of shop down a little bit for the fun of it. This is why Lidl and Aldi are booming, because of posh people like Sophia going, "Oh, look at all these quaint little products that the working class people eat," and they just buy all this stuff. It's like a kind of cultural experience for them, whilst the driver waits outside in a jam. So I also want to ask you about your education. First of all, where were you born?
In Norfolk.
In Norfolk, very good. And
Better than good.
I would have thought so, Your Honour. And what kind of education did you receive? What was the name of your primary school?
St Martha's.
St Martha's, which was a faith school,
It's a
Church
Catholic,
of England?
Catholic school.
Catholic, okay. And where did you go on to after St Martha's?
I went to the comprehensive school.
Again, for ironic reasons, ladies and gentlemen. What do you have a situation where her family was so wealthy in terms of assets and property, but not cash rich? And this is what happens with the aristocracy. Lots of property, lots of land, but no cashola, which is why you wound up at the comprehensive. Now,
May we ask which comprehensive?
yes, I think that's a very good question. Yeah. Which comprehensive?
It was called Springwood High School in Gaywood.
In Gaywood?
Gaywood, yes.
Right. Okay, Gaywood sounds just like a
Actually true.
description of an area.
kind of place where in his heyday George Michael would have flourished.
It's where fictional character Alan Partridge was born.
Is that right? Gaywood?
In Gaywood.
I see. Okay. But your middle
Close
classness.
is Springwood High School as well, isn't it? In Gaywood. Springing along.
It's all rather confusing. And you are a conservation officer. Brilliant. For a charity or a pressure group, or
For the
would you
council.
just do it by yourself?
For the council.
Just go around with bin bags. Recycling.
Old buildings.
Old buildings,
Yeah.
very good. And so what do you do in the execution of your task as a conservation officer?
I'd stop naughty builders from knocking pretty buildings down.
Did you hear the irritation with which she said the word builders? Those proletarian thugs who are a necessary evil in our society but oughtn't really to be
And
recognised.
shop fitters.
And shop fitters. I
She's
think
winning
we're...
the jury though, Mr. Dolan.
I think so. And again, this is another argument that this is what the aristocrats do, is that they feel at a certain point, from Lord Shaftesbury onwards, these toffs throughout English history, they feel, which is a very noble emotion on their part, which is a wonderfully creditable quality that the English middle classes have had. They tend to be quite socialist, and they feel we've made our money, we've got enough, it's time to give back a little bit, which is precisely why you've chosen to be a conservation officer, to protect the environment that your father and grandfather and great-grandfather literally bankrolled in the past. Do you have anything to tell me that could defend against the accusation of middle class? Can you tell me any things about you that are a little bit chabby in order to offer some kind of balance to this?
I'd go to car boot sales.
That's proper old money. Just all you're doing is go to car boot sales to re-buy some of Grandad's antiques.
And whose land are the car boots? Seems salient.
Any other slightly proletarian activities?
I drink big mugs of builder's tea.
See, all right. So you
Do you
steal
steal
the
it
mugs.
from the builders? Yeah.
Right.
That's the question.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I don't wish to watch the accused suffer or squirm any longer. I think you'll agree it's an open and shut case of somebody here being very charming, don't get me wrong, very charming, very elegant, very fine, very beautiful, but also very middle class. I rest my case.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan.
Thank you, Your Honour.
One member of the jury. Well done.
To be fair, I feel that member of the jury is applauding the fact that he's no longer on trial. Could I please have the wig?
Yes,
Oh
Mr.
yes, forgive me.
Mr. Regisalu. Stand on ceremony.
Had it dry clean.
Thank you very much. Hello. Hello, Sophia. So what was your... It was Bix, sorry. So ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my learned friend Mr. Dolan over here has set himself the extremely difficult task of proving that my client here fits within the middle 70 to 80% of people. What a difficult task. Oh, it is my assertion that this woman is of average height, and today I will prove it. Oh, it's my assertion that this woman probably owns a Dan Brown novel. What a difficult task. If we had a normal distribution, he's basically saying this person is not an extreme Marxist or a Nazi. That's basically... I'm not suggesting that literally, I'm using it as a metaphor. But also, you'll also notice that my learned friend over here, and I will quote this because I wrote it down at the time, said that he was setting out to prove that Miss Bix, is it Miss or Ms? Or?
Ms.
It's Ms. Bix. Oh, that's not helping. One must acknowledge the truth if one is to find the truth. Now, that Ms. Bix was, and I quote, just the right side of middle class. Now, which is the right side? Did he mean it as...
I must correct you. I think he said just the right side of the aristocracy.
Oh, that, yes.
Therefore, verging into the middle class. Within the context he said it.
But did he mean between the middle class and the upper class?
He meant upper middle class.
So basically, my learned friend here is asserting that the correct class is the upper class. Something which I feel...
No, I think you've mistaken it again. He meant just the right side of the aristocracy, implying, and we'll be talking about this later, implying that the aristocracy is of the wrong class. So he's implicitly saying that Miss Bix is the right side of the aristocracy, meaning she's middle class. Therefore, the middle class is the right side of the aristocracy.
That's
rather
correct,
than the
Your
wrong
Honour.
side of the
Well, okay. Well, then.
I just have to be very clear about the charge.
it's very-
Somebody's got to keep this together.
That's true. That is true, and that is your
That's
job.
why I'm in the wig and the chair.
That is right. Well,
I don't want to hurt your, defence, because it was going very well in that you were saying you were going to attempt to prove that she was not one of either 70 or 80% of the population, and I was looking forward to hearing that. But essentially, I just have to get the charge absolutely crystal clear.
that's why you're the judge. Okay. Thank you very much. Well, let's have a look at the evidence that we've heard. We've heard that Ms. Bix spelt B-I-X, which, now, if we're going to have a look at her name, I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, that if this lady was as upper middle class as my learned friend would have you believe, that her name would be spelt at the very least B-I-C-K-S, and at the very most B-I-C-K-S hyphen something. Now, B-I-X as a name, that's Bix, innit? That's fucking Bix, innit? What's your name? Bix, how's that spelled? B-I-fucking-X, right? Actually, we're doing quite well here in the court today, because we've got Mr. Zuyas, who's had the Z and the J. Now, Bix has got the X. Now, if we need our next accused to have a Q in their name, and I'm in Scrabble heaven. Now, that is completely by the by. And now, when
Objection, Your Honour. Bix, it's worth clarifying to the jury, is one of those quirky, posh, toff middle names. You know how they all call each other Miffy and Muff and Puffy and Titty?
this is the worst kind
They're all
of...
called Wag Wag and Tit Tit and all the rest of it. No one's got an actual... No one's called Steve in the aristocracy.
So what you're implying is that Ms. Bix's surname is a former posh nickname.
Yes, it is, sir. And her full name is, in fact, Lady Sophia Bixencraft Hagelsbottom.
And that they've just shortened it to Bix for ease of poshness.
Correct.
Right.
She's known as Bixie Bitch, and the Bix Dog, which is not a comment on her appearance, but just street vernacular.
Your Honour, this objection has become an addendum. How long do you want this objection to go on? Bixie, Mitty, Hagenberger.
I'm overruling it because I think your actual surname is Bix. It's not just a short.
It is actually my my actual surname is Bix.
And your parents' surname is Bix.
Well, that is the way it works.
Yeah.
One of them now.
One of the parents'
Yeah.
surnames. Yes. The other one is.
Please say they're divorced and she didn't go back to being a German lord.
And she's remarried.
A Mott.
A Mott.
A Mott.
Sorry,
Well, actually-
objection, Your Honour. Mott bum.
You can't
object to evidence being given by the accused.
I do overrule your objection to actual factual evidence. Also, I think it's worth noting, Mr. Odissalou, that Mott is obviously the lower end of the social spectrum. If it was Bailey, then that would be a very different
Absolutely.
keep, castle, tower, any of those things.
Aristocratic ladder-based names. Yes. Like Bailey. Well, let's move on from this because it's a very muddy topic, as we can see. It certainly caused no end of arguments. So Miss Bixmont. Ms. Bixmont. It just sounds like something I might say after drinking far too much. Ms. Bixmont.
So you're now hyphenating her name.
No, I'm
just to make her lower class.
Disregard, Your Honour.
Okay.
I've gotten off track here. So, Miss Bix, you did give evidence. You led evidence to suggest that you shop locally. Now, could you just elaborate on that? Where do you shop in your local area?
Down the Walworth Road.
Down the Walworth Road. So you live in South London, is that right?
Yeah.
You live down sort of at Camberwell Way.
Yes.
Yes.
Brixton. We've heard Brixton.
Well, yes, but that's not, that may be where she lives, may not be where she shops. You know. I mean,
That's a good point.
yes. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, having lived in Kennington in my younger days before I made it in the law. Thank you very much for not laughing. I was after last, but it's nice to see that this has fooled you. That this glamour has fooled you. I have shopped down the Walworth Road, and I could tell you, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who's been there knows that that is about as far away from being upper class as you can get. While shopping on the Walworth Road, I saw a man running with a television. And it was probably, yes, there we go, we'll bring a secondary charge against an unnamed man for the stealing of the television. But it's you couldn't get any more. Like I was speaking to a friend of mine last night who moved from Crouch End to near the Walworth Road, and she had still not recovered from the shock. Now
I went there once.
the shock.
No, the Walworth Road.
Have you still got your television?
No, I just drove through it. I got straight out. It's terrible.
It is a terrible, terrible place, right?
And yet your client chooses to shop there.
That is correct. And can I say it is Walworth Road is like the opposite of Crouch End. It is like and Crouch End, of course, as we all know, is basically the placeholder, right, for middle classness. If a comedian is on stage and wishes to convey that someone is middle class, they'll probably say something like, "Oh, I suppose you live in Crouch End and eat a lot of hummus." You know, it's that sort of thing. No one kind of goes, "Oh, I suppose you live down the Walworth Road." My client shops down the Walworth Road. She could not be further.
Objection, Your Honour. The attraction of the Walworth Road to a lady like young Miss Bix is the gentrification of the Walworth Road.
Well, she's part of it.
Oh, she's
She is part of the gentrification. Her very existence on the Walworth Road is an example of what's happening across the capital. And there are rumours that Costa Coffee are planning a flagship branch on the Walworth Road. Starbucks are interested. Cafe Nero thought, no, we still don't. It still doesn't feel right. We still.
Objection, Your Honour. Objection, Your Honour. Because I know that my learned friend has stocks in all of those companies.
But I just wish the jury to consider the gentrification argument and to realise that what this young lady is doing in London, in this part of Brixton, is symptomatic of a wider trend, and also an example of her generosity of spirit, that she should be so courageous as moving into the hood and sharing with her in an almost Princess Diana-like way.
Oh, objection, Your Honour. This is
her warmth towards these unfortunate characters who live in this tragic area known as South London.
Your Honour, this is re-examining and putting up. My learned friend has had his chance to put his arguments.
I'm going to sustain it. I mean, I think it's a very compelling argument that this woman clearly represents. I mean, look at, she's wearing a beautiful ring like Princess Diana. It's a very similar. I mean, I see where he's going with this.
Coquettish smile.
I saw that. I see where he's going with it.
Yeah, but if we, okay.
She's got lovely posture. Princess Diana was a dancer.
The sexual history.
All I'm saying is, I can see the compelling
The
argument.
sexual
that he's
history
putting
of
forward.
Arab men.
I know nothing about
Facebook.
I know nothing
All
about
on
it.
Facebook.
Alright, okay, well,
So I'm going to
Sam's cool with
sustain
it.
it.
Sam's
I'm going to
cool
sustain
with
it. He's putting forward that it's an outreach program, which is very compelling. You know, you've created the fact that she shops on the Walworth Road, which is terrible, as we've discussed.
yes.
It's a dreadful place. You should be very careful there. And he is just merely putting forward that she may be shopping there for altruistic, aristocratic reasons, whereas you're putting forward that she's shopping there because she is either a Marxist or a Nazi.
No, I'm not suggesting she's either of those things.
Oh.
All I was suggesting.
Strike that, Trevor.
Yeah. Look, basically, I think the difference between my argument and my learned friend's argument here is that what we've heard is lots of evidence that my client is not upper middle class. Now, my learned friend's argument seems to be that all of this evidence is just because she's pretending not to be upper middle class. So the question really comes down to, what do we believe? What we see, or what someone with a massive vested interest will tell us is really going on? I think it's a fairly obvious case here, right? She went to Springwood High School, which I know for a fact was named Springwood after the prison that they converted into it. I don't know that, but it sounds like it could be. And I'll ask you one last question. Before we finish up. Have you ever shopped at the following stores? Okay, I'll give you a list of 3, and all we need is a simple yes or no answer. And I'm really putting the credibility of my whole case on the line here, so let's see how it goes. Okay, have you ever shopped at Primark?
Yes.
That is a yes. That's 1 out of 3. Have you ever shopped at Lidl?
No.
I mean, it doesn't matter. And finally, have you ever shopped at what's another poor shop?
Why are you asking
Poundland.
me?
May I offer you, in the spirit of friendship and the pursuit of justice, may I offer Poundland or the 99p store if she's really on a budget?
Have you ever shopped at Poundland?
I have.
Well, I shall finish my defence in the words of Meatloaf, something which my client definitely ate as a child, not the singer. That 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we have before us a very interesting case that Ms. Sophia Bix, with malice of forethought,
That's another nickname, by the way.
with malice of forethought, is reassuringly middle class, borderline aristocratic, just the right side of it. It's a very serious charge. It's a very interesting charge, and I think members of the jury, we must remember the very important legal distinction, which I think can be summed up in the words non vestra sed vos, which I think means it's not what you are but who you are. And we are looking at Miss Bix, who lives, let's not deny it, in a Edwardian conversion in Brixton, which is an apartment within a house which she was not pressed on as to whether it was not owned by Daddy but Mummy, which would have been the first place I would have gone. She, let's not forget it, shops locally, which is a classic middle class phrase for buying expensive, and was only denied having to admit she voted Conservative because I overruled it.
Correct.
The only rock festival she's ever been to is Glastonbury, and she went to St Martha's in Norfolk before going to, as we've heard, a school in Gaywood, which is pretty indefensible all round. She drinks big mugs of builder's tea. We've heard this. This is important. This is a counter-argument, some would say. But she may not have stolen them from the builders. So that's another counter-argument. It sort of balances it out. Then Mr. Agistino put forward a very important point, which is that essentially your charge is a bit of a catch-all, in that if she's anything other than 80% of the population, that's essentially what the charge is. You're saying she is one of 80% of the population. He did his best, I have to say, to put forward a very compelling argument that she shopped in a part of London where it's alleged that men run away with televisions.
It's a fact.
I mean, there's certainly a witness to it. You saw it yourself.
Yes.
And then I thought, in a closing statement, which was genius, came up with 3 shops, one of which he didn't even know himself, to prove that she was not reassuringly middle class, but lower class. I ask you, members of the jury, if you believe that Ms. Sophia Bix is guilty of, with malice of forethought, being reassuringly middle class, borderline aristocracy, just the right side of it. You are to cheer now. Just the boyfriend. If you believe she is not guilty of malice of forethought, being reassuringly middle class, borderline aristocracy, just the right side of it, cheer clear now. If she's not guilty, I dismiss you, and this case is dismissed. Please go forth and shop locally at your own leisure. Dismissed. Trevor, one more. We have time for one more quick one. Yianni, are you prepared to prosecute a quick one?
I am indeed.
Of course.
I'll give the court a quickie.
Fair enough.
Well, which of the two of you left will it be? Shall we flip a coin, or shall we? I have a question. Do either of you have a Q in your name? I know you don't, Carl. What was your name, madam?
It's not got a Q in it.
Well, that's not really an answer, but Carl's got a K in it, and that's pretty close to a Q. So
It's not.
oh, with a
It's a C.
yeah, but a C is only another curve and a straight line away from getting a Q. So I think it's going to be you, Carl. I think it's going to be you. So if we're gonna, so now, but what's the charge? Well, what's the charge? Yeah, now.
Not having it in
Oh, that's a pretty open and shut case. That one, not having a Q in his name. I think we could have. Okay. So a couple of questions, Carl. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do for a job? Pardon?
I'm a consultant.
You're a consultant. Okay. What sort of consulting is it?
I advise people on the design, build, and operation of arenas and stadiums.
Of arenas and stadiums.
Yeah.
Okay. And could you tell us the stadium that you've advised on that would be most known by the people in this room? No. Is that right, Carl?
The Don Valley Stadium in Sheffield.
The Dolan Valley Stadium in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then
which has just been knocked down.
Jackpots. All right. Well, Your Honour, if it please the court, I would like to bring a charge that it was Carl's poor advice that led to the stadium being knocked down.
Poor advice
Yes.
leading to the death of a perfectly innocent stadium.
Perfectly innocent stadium. Correct. Yes.
Trevor, can we swear him in, please? Carl, your surname? Martin. Brilliant. Carl, are you related to Chris Martin in any way, shape or form?
No. Who?
Trevor, swear him in.
Please put your hand on the book. I, Carl Martin,
I, Carl Martin.
have got nothing to do with Chris Martin.
I've got nothing to do with the aforesaid Chris Martin.
Ooh. So why would you even ask me?
I was asking that question myself. So why would you even ask me?
I'm here to tell the truth.
I'm here to tell the truth,
The whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Yianni, the floor is yours, but keep it tight as
Yes.
I have to drink.
Okay. Mr. Martin. So we've already established that you.
Wait a second. It's a St. Patrick's Day law time, isn't it?
It could be.
We're going to add a subordinate charge to this. Poor advice leading to the death of a perfectly innocent stadium and impersonating an Irishman badly.
Well, I've not researched it, Your Honour, but I'll do my best.
Irishman badly. Well done. Off you go, Yianni.
Well, it's not going to help us
Hang
keep
on,
it
I've got a
tight.
green
But
He's got a green jacket. That's got to help you.
Correct.
okay, so first, my first question is, could you repeat the name of the stadium that you mentioned before?
It was the Don Valley Stadium in Sheffield.
Okay, and what sort of stadium was this?
It was an athletic stadium, and they used to play football and rugby league there.
Okay, and you said that stadium was recently knocked down. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Why was it knocked down?
because Sheffield City Council said that the government weren't giving them enough money to sustain it.
So Sheffield City Council said that government. Now, which government is this that weren't giving them?
Present government.
The
Coalition.
The federal government were not giving them
Yeah.
enough. Okay, the coalition.
The national government.
The national government. Sorry. It's I should have learned that on my comparative law course. I'm from Australia. That is my fault. So this Sheffield, is this from the same place as Lithuania? No, I'm just joking. So it was a funding issue. It was a funding issue, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. And around what time of year was the stadium knocked down?
The end of last year.
The end of last year. Okay.
Actually,
Well,
it may not be complete yet.
It may not be
The
complete.
demolition.
Okay. Now, well, Mr. Martin, did which part of your advice was any part of your advice material in having the stadium knocked down?
No,
What was your advice regarding the stadium?
they didn't ask me.
They didn't ask you.
If you're asking about the demolition, I wasn't talked to.
Well, he wasn't talked to. So he says. But I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, that not only was Mr. Martin spoken to, that he was crucial, and that he felt so bad about the poor advice that he gave, leading to the death of this innocent stadium, that he dressed up as an Irishman, journeyed up to Sheffield, looking like this, turned up, because it's not... Oh, bravo. This is... Mr. Martin, a pint of Guinness will not redeem your shocking costume.
It'll quench my thirst.
It will quench your thirst. That is what it is for, yes. Well, I put it to you, Mr. Martin, that completely contrary to your testimony, that you felt so bad about this demolition, which he has said is not finished yet, that he dressed up tonight with the express intention of journeying up to Sheffield on St. Patrick's Day, dressed as an Irishman, to demand that the demolition, which is not finished yet, be stopped, and that the remainder of the stadium be preserved as a testament to his own bad advice. Because there may not have been enough money to maintain the stadium, but there is surely enough money, especially under a coalition government, to commemorate bad decisions. And I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, that this man, Mr. Martin, came here on the way there and is still on the way to Sheffield after this gig. He came here only to bolster his Irish credentials by receiving a pint of Guinness, which he has now done, and he's now asking for, Mr. Locke. And that after we finish this case, which shouldn't take long.
Can't, because he's got to go drinking.
That's very true. How appropriate. That Mr. Martin will jump on the overnight coach to Sheffield, reach there before midnight, because he'll hijack it, and enact this plan. Now, what say you to those charges, Mr. Martin?
I really think this is a fatuous charge, because Don Valley Stadium was a stadium I was involved with. There have been a lot of other buildings which are far more prestigious and far more important and far more deserving of staying alive.
This has nothing to do with the Bee Gees.
You have to staying alive.
Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, did we just see what just happened there? Did we see what just happened there? Mr. Martin said staying alive and went, which, as we all know, is the universal symbol for pushing a smaller brother's head under the water in the pool, which is the opposite of staying alive. Can we really trust a man whose subconscious gestures betray him like this?
Or it's the television advert for CRP. From Vinnie Jones.
Could I ask what does CRP stand for?
I don't know. Staying alive. It's for when you pump the heart.
Exactly right. I don't know why I'm giving this, but it's cardiorespiratory coordination.
It's the right
Yeah.
letters in the wrong order.
Is it?
Yes.
CPR?
CPR.
Cardio.
Oh, CPR.
Resuscitation. Yeah.
You should have known.
Objection, Your Honour. That's why so many people died.
No, I mean, the reason they do it is that the beat that you go down.
Oh, yep.
There are two things that you need to stay alive. You need a heart and you need lungs. Cardio is heart, pulmonary is lungs, respiration is what they do together. CPR.
That's exactly right.
CRP
And the way you resuscitate someone is to the beat of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. That's the way they do
Yes.
it.
Yes.
That's
So
maybe
you
the
do
case.
two, you go.
Objection, Your Honour. Can we chuck in any more meandering medical facts into
It's
this
not.
discussion?
I'm saying what he's brought. I'm trying to define it for the Australian. I'm doing my best. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's Australia that we've got to thank that the Bee Gees got anywhere careerised in the first place. If they'd have been left here in England, we never would have heard of them. They'd be playing in a pub somewhere in Nottingham. It's Australia that went, oh wow, they've got really high voices.
Just to get back onto the points, I tell you where they wouldn't be playing, Your Honour. The Don Valley Stadium in Sheffield. Because that stadium no longer exists because of the bad decisions of this man, no matter what he will tell you. His testimony betrays him. He is a shit leprechaun. He's far too tall. And that is why when he goes up to Sheffield, which he will immediately after this to demand they remedy his bad decision, they will throw him out with a hardy har and I'm sorry, Emily, and he will come back here and he will have to live, as we all do, with the consequences of his bad decisions. So I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, that he is he is a very bad Irishman.
Don't carry on.
Don't tell me how it is.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
No, you're there. I see what you've done.
I think it's done. I think that's it. That's all of my argument.
Can I ask one question of the witness before you?
Yes,
the
you may.
accused before you. Were you of the view that it was the right decision to demolish the Don Valley Stadium?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a good decision. Even though they didn't have it was the right thing to do. So it was basically one of those decaying.
No, it wasn't. It just wasn't being used properly.
Right. As a stadium.
Yeah.
I see. So it was the right decision. Because I think that's important.
Well, I put it to you that he was racked by guilt and doesn't think that.
Thank you, Mr. Listener. Mr. Dolan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank
Charge
you, Your
is
Honour.
that the
Thank you, sir.
poor advice of this man Carl Martin led to the death of a perfectly innocent stadium,
Yes.
and that he is impersonating an Irish man badly.
That's correct. Well, let's...
No, you're his defence counsel. It is not correct in your...
I'll get the hang of this eventually. Now, sorry, I
Good
googled.
luck.
I googled what a defence counsel does on the way here, and it was quite a cursory glance, I must admit. However, ladies and gentlemen, let's discuss the Irish issue first. First of all, Mr. Martin, thank you for your valuable time. As a designer of stadiums, your time is a premium. I can't imagine what your hourly rate is, but I would imagine it's considerable.
I make a living.
There you go. Very modest answer. That's a very Irish answer because the Irish are not ostentatious. I'm going to, especially not these days, not since the recession. Now, I want to ask you. Good point. I would ask you the following question. I'd like to ascertain and establish that the Irishness about this man. He's never claimed to be an Irishman, but what he's done is he has doffed his cap towards Irish culture today. He's in a very chivalrous way, kind of, in a way, you're sort of handing out a hand of friendship towards the Irish people. You've taken a Guinness, you've in the same way a politician, when they're out and about, when they're kind of, in a constituency, they have a bubbly pint of real ale, which they don't even enjoy, but they do it because they're assimilating. That's what you've done with the Irish people. That's a very creditable thing to do.
Objection, Your Honour. If having a pint of Guinness on St Patrick's Day makes you Irish, well, I think the rest of that speaks for itself.
Well, my contention is not that he's Irish, but that what he's doing, the green outfit, the glass of Guinness in his hand, it's a nod to Ireland. It's an acknowledgement, which is all we can ask of our fellow man. It's a respectful acknowledgement. And I think there's an authenticity about your relationship with Ireland. I'm not saying you're Irish, but I would suggest you have a fondness for both Ireland and the Irish people. Would that be true, Mr. Martin?
Yeah.
I'm going to test this. I'm going to ask you a few quite specific, challenging questions about Irish culture, and if you're able to answer correctly, that will prove that there's some truth to this enthusiasm you have for the Irish people. First of all, could you tell me the name of an iconic Irish broadcaster based for the last 5 decades in the United Kingdom, who hosted the television
Jerry
hit
Wilder.
Blankety Blank? Wait, I've got to go. on my side, dude. Who hosted the
We couldn't stay at the
70s
stadium.
game show hit Blankety Blank, the Radio 2 breakfast show, and the TV chat show Wogan. Nicely done. Which Irish bands wrote the song In the Name of Love, had an album called The Joshua Tree, and have a lead singer who wears blue glasses and is, frankly, pretty fucking irritating?
You too.
You too, well done. What colour is the shamrock, which is that weird little flowery thing that the Irish have?
I know it's green.
Well done. Your partner doesn't even trust you to get that answer out.
No.
Will 15 pints of Guinness consumed over a 1 hour period get you very pissed?
Possibly.
I rest my case, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've established that this man's knowledge of Ireland and Irish culture, and even something as, fleeting as a pint of Guinness, he understands the effects because he truly appreciates Ireland. Now let's get into the Don Valley Stadium. Now Don Valley.
Mr. Dolan, it's been demolished.
Well, very good. Let's get on to the remnants of it. What remains? Acknowledge that, Your Honour. Now Don Valley Stadium. Am I right in assuming that Don Valley is a charismatic, permatanned local entrepreneur?
That's very good.
Just you and me on that one, Your Honour. Did you spend time with Mr. Valley? And did you find him to be a challenging client?
Brother of Frankie. I'm with
Frankie,
you.
of course.
It's good. You see, now they're there. It's good. It's good.
I just wonder where the stadium, paid for, bankrolled by a man called Don Valley. I'm imagining a lot of brown paper envelopes. I'm smelling corruption, and I just wonder whether you didn't like the whole notion of this place struck you as slightly immoral. Do you feel, first of all, that Sheffield is the better for having lost the Don Valley Stadium?
Yes.
Yes. And is that because, if we're to be honest, it would probably be no bad thing if an awful lot of Sheffield were to be razed to the ground?
No.
And that in removing
No.
Don Valley, you've actually taken away a monstrous carbuncle, to quote His Royal Highness, Prince of Wales. Was it ugly?
Yes.
Of course it was, and it had to go.
Yes.
Was it expensive for its time? Was it a white elephant?
No.
Of course it was. It had to go.
God, it's like watching Perry Mason.
Just like
Isn't it in the wheelchair?
before the
He isn't
accident.
in a wheelchair.
He will
Before the bizarre
He
car.
will be, said his own client.
when the people from Sheffield hear this.
All right. Why did Don Valley Stadium go?
Because I already told the
We've heard this, Mr. Dolan. It's
prosecution.
But I want to get to the
Because
the bottom of it, which is
Sheffield-
I feel it was a cursory answer, and
Sheffield Council said that they didn't have sufficient funding for it because of a lack of funding from central government.
I see. And what you felt that the building was misused, so you didn't feel there was a problem with the building itself.
Underused.
Oh, underused, not misused.
Underused.
I must say, I believe you're quoted. I'm not sure about this. If it's true.
Underused, he said underused.
Did he forgive
It's
me for
very
that?
difficult to misuse a massive stadium.
You've obviously not been to Wembley Arena recently. Now,
He's right.
Westlife, the comeback tour, it was horrific. Now, can you tell me this, sir? Underused. What was it used for? What happened when it was in use? What kind of activities occurred there, Mr. Martin?
The local schools trained on it.
Oh shit, that's rubbish.
And Jennifer
That's
Ennis,
proper crap.
Jennifer Ennis Hill was subsidised by the lottery to go and run there once a week.
Skinny cow, can't stand her. Well done. Correct. So we feel your pain on this one. Do you not miss, however, this piece of architecture which you've had a hand in the creation of? You know, you've lost this monument to Karl Martin and all that he was about.
No, I haven't.
No. There you go. So I will contend. Do you feel that there's anything in the advice you gave the client when it was built that was wrong advice?
No.
No. What kind of advice did you give? Was it about where the toilets go and how many cafes there should be?
It was about how the thing would work and what the facilities were needed and etc. etc.
And they ignored you.
But they didn't have enough money.
I see. There you go. It always comes back to, ladies and gentlemen, money. It's a financial question. And
Mr. Dolan, your closing statement?
Yes.
To say?
My closing statement is that you are not guilty of misadvising. You're a man guilty only of excessive honesty, and that you've had to work through layers of tedious bureaucracy, unelected local quangos and officials who drove you to the point of almost suicide, certainly heavy drinking and a little bit of self-harm. And you've paid the price with both your soul and, if the evidence here is to be accepted, your marriage. And therefore, a man more sinned against than sinning, I rest my case not guilty, Your Honour.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we have heard a very compelling case from Mr. Yianni Agisalou. The charge, of course, is that Carl Martin gave poor advice leading to the death of a perfectly innocent stadium and the impersonation of an Irishman badly. We had a very compelling case from Mr. Agisalou, which, if I can break it down into two parts, was indeed that the prosecution asked what the bad advice was that Mr. Martin gave, and Mr. Martin stated that he was not remotely talked to or asked to give his advice, which I think probably is a defence issue, isn't it?
Well, there's been a really blurry line between what's been prosecution and what's been defence tonight.
True story. Okay. It was then put forward that there was a funding issue. The stadium might still be going. It seemed very woolly, the demolition of this stadium in the case put forward. However, it was shown, of course, that Mr. Martin was drinking Guinness, which, not to pandy to a stereotype, is largely funding Ireland at the moment. There was then a sort of a left field argument about CPR, which I didn't really understand, finally leading to the fact that Mr. Martin was a pretty shit leprechaun, mainly on the grounds of his height. So there we are. We heard from the Defence Counsel, Mr. Dolan.
Robust defence.
Robust defence, I thought, yes. That
big up your defence up.
That Mr. Martin's modesty in his method of making a living was an Irish attribute, so he wasn't impersonating an Irishman badly, he was impersonating an Irishman well, is I think the argument that you're putting forward, as I understand it. We heard he was fond of Ireland, he was able to name... He was essentially able to repeat the word Wogan after you, I think you'd say. And he was as baffled as most of the jury by your assertion that the Don Valley Stadium, rather than being named after the Don River, as it is in the Don Valley, which of course Doncaster itself is named after a man called Don Valley, the brother of Frankie
Who can't
Valley.
be here today because he's currently serving time for embezzlement.
You then put forward the fact that maybe not only the Don Valley Stadium should have been demolished in Sheffield, but all of Sheffield should be demolished, which is an argument we haven't heard since it was put forward by Hitler. However, it was a robust defence, I think we'd have to say, and it was an underused stadium. So you were saying it was an underused stadium. It was only used once a week by one girl, who, albeit did win some gold medals. So you're putting forward that it wasn't a perfectly innocent stadium, it was a vindictive stadium. It was selfishly there for one person to run around a track every now and again to try and attempt to win something.
Correct.
So
Your Honour, could I just finally put up, to be honest, I don't think any actual Irish person could just repeat the name Wogan after a counter saying at this point on St Patrick's Day.
well, that's a counter argument. I'm going to overrule it. I'm going to overrule it on the grounds that many of the Irish people I know at this point, I suspect, somewhere in the world will just be repeating their own name. So I'm going to overrule it. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you believe that Mr. Carl Martin is guilty of giving poor advice leading to the death of a perfectly innocent stadium and impersonating an Irishman badly, please cheer now. Yay! If you believe he's innocent, please cheer now. Mr. Carl Martin, I find you nothing less than innocent. Please retake your seat, an innocent man who has either impersonated an Irishman well or given good advice leading to the death of the stadium. Case dismissed.
We haven't convicted anyone.
Well, Yianni, that fault does not lie with me.
I would say
All rise! All rise! Oh, that's your bit, fella. All rise! Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Court is now closed. Thank you.
Goodbye.